Secretary Pete Hegseth now was back earlier today on Fox and Friends before we came on the air amid reports that he shared war plans with members of his family in a second group chat on his phone. Alexandria Hoff has more on what he said and what we know now. Alex, good morning.
Well, good morning to you. In an interview with Brian Kilmeade this morning, the secretary said that he believes that others in that group chat outside of family members with an axe to grind leaked the information to the New York Times, which cited 4 anonymous sources in reporting that Hegseth shared details about an upcoming strike in Yemen in a signal message group that included, again, his wife, brother, but also several others. Here's the secretary on that.
When you dismiss people who you believe are leaking classified information, and again, the investigation is ongoing and that will take time, and when the evidence produced, it will go to DOJ, why would it surprise anybody, Brian, if those very same people keep leaking to the very same reporters whatever information they think they can have to try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary? So once a leaker, always a leaker.
Hegseth did not deny that the signal chat existed, but said the information was not classified, though NBC News is reporting that Hegseth used his personal phone to relay some information on fighter jet flight times, which could have compromised pilot safety. The president said he is standing by Hegseth.
I mean, I hear they're doing that whole thing again. Here we go again. Just a waste of time. He is doing a great job.
Why do you still have confidence?
Because he's doing a great job. Thank you. Ask the Houthis how he's doing.
The White House has denied reports that the administration is searching for a replacement for Hegseth.
Not a yes, sir. Not a follower. Fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat for you. Take a number. I was lightning before the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Let's go. Karoline Leavitt live.
Touched millions of lives and dedicated his life to serving the Catholic Church.
She just came out.
Of respect for his memory, President Trump ordered flags be flown at half-staff, and he will be traveling to attend his funeral in Rome. The president will depart from Washington on Friday morning and return to the United States on Saturday evening following the funeral service. I can also confirm the dates of the president's trip to the Middle East. He will travel to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates from May 13th until May 16th. And on Thursday of this week, President Trump will welcome Norwegian Prime Minister at the White House for a working visit. The two leaders will discuss trade and regional security. This will be the 13th head of state visit of President Trump's term already. At the border, President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to make America safe again. The Wall Street Journal captured the Trump effect in a recent article. Border crossings grind to a halt as Trump's tough policies take hold. U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded its lowest southwest border crossings in history in March, and we're seeing the same successes at our northern border. Here's how the New York Post put it. Northern border sector previously overrun by illegal migrants sees dramatic drop in crossings. We haven't seen anyone since November, end quote. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, just 54 illegal aliens were apprehended in the Swanton sector of our northern border, which stretches more than 300 miles in March. This is a drastic 95% drop from the more than 1,000 border crossings that were caught in March 2024. This is a main hotspot area that recorded more than 80% of all apprehensions along the northern border during the 2024 fiscal year. And new reporting from the Washington Times fully highlights the difference in Joe Biden's disgraceful approach to the border compared to President Trump's. Under Trump, border catch and release has dropped 99.99% from worst Biden month. You can't get much better than that. This statistic in particular is astounding. Border Patrol agents caught and immediately released 189,604 illegal aliens into the United States in December 2023 at the height of the Biden border crisis. But under President Trump, Border Patrol agents caught and released only 20 illegal aliens into the U.S. in the month of February. Thanks to President Trump, operational control of the border is becoming a reality, and the administration's historic enforcement measures are yielding huge results. Illegal aliens are finally getting the blunt message. If you cross the border illegally, you will be swiftly deported and never return to the United States of America. Efforts to arrest the criminal illegal alien invaders are continuing to ramp up. ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of predatory sexual assault of a child in Cook County, Illinois. This week, ICE Denver arrested a Mexican national convicted of sexual assault of a child in Houston County, Texas. ICE Miami arrested a Nicaraguan convicted of aggravated battery in Hillsborough County, Florida. ICE Houston arrested a Salvadorian national convicted of attempted sexual assault of a child in Escape in Dallas County, Texas. And ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of aggravated sexual abuse of a minor in Illinois. Despite the Democrats' insane objections, President Trump will continue to embolden law enforcement officers to arrest dangerous legal alien criminals and keep our communities safe. And also, thanks to President Trump's America First economic approach, investments continue to pour into our country. Swiss pharmaceuticals company announced they will be investing $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years, creating 12,000 new quality jobs. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals also agreed to pay Fujifilm Technologies more than $3 billion over the next decade to help manufacture its medicines in the United States. It's a top priority for President Trump to ensure we are producing critical medicines and pharmaceutical drugs right here in America, and that is exactly what we continue to see happen every day. In other news, the Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collection since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion, but fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers, tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country. If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple. President Trump will not kick the can down the road anymore. Before we open it up to questions today, I want to commend our pool photographer who is in the room with us today. ABC News photojournalist Melissa Young is retiring after 44 incredible years on the job, covering here at the White House. Melissa, congratulations. You have the largest round of applause I've ever heard in this room. So there's something we can all agree on, and you've had an incredible career here covering the White House. So congratulations to you, and we hope you enjoy retirement. I'm sure you will. And everybody else in the room will be very jealous of you as you're enjoying your rest. All right, let's get to it. We have an individual in our new media seat today. His name is Tim Pool. He's a political commentator and a media entrepreneur with millions of followers, a very big platform. Currently hosts Timcast IRL, a daily news and discussions show, and The Culture War, a weekly podcast exploring cultural and political issues. His programs feature in-depth conversations on topics such as free speech, censorship, identity politics, and societal change, often engaging with a diverse range of guests. He's in Washington today because we are also hosting a local media row across the street in the Eisenhower building, which is a testament to our commitment to bring new voices into the White House to cover the president and this administration. So, Tim, why don't you kick us off today?
Yes. Many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by 2 different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland man over and over again. Now, in an effort from the White House to expand access to new companies, you've created this new media seat. So I'm wondering if you can comment on, following this expansion, you've had numerous outlets disparage the companies that you've had sit here, as well as the reporters. I'm wondering if you could comment on the unprofessional behavior, as well as elaborate if there's any plans to expand access to new companies.
Sure. Well, we certainly welcome diverse viewpoints in this room, which is one of the reasons we have you in here. And there's many new faces in this room in comparison to the previous administrations. We want to welcome all viewpoints into this room. We welcome unbiased journalists who really care about the truth and the facts and the accuracy. And you rightfully pointed out the Maryland Man story, which I, from this podium, when The Atlantic published it on that very first day, I came to this podium and said, this is wrong. The press in this room have this story wrong. And we have seen more and more evidence come to the table that we have had all along. We were always right. The president was always on the right side of this issue to deport this illegal criminal from our community. And it is despicable to see the media continue to refer to this individual as someone who is just a peaceful man living his life in Maryland. This was and always has been an illegal criminal, an MS-13 gang member, and a designated foreign terrorist. And the administration maintains our position to deport these individuals from our community. So thank you for being here, Tim. It's great to see you. Thank you. Dasha, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Karoline.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. I have 2 questions, one on the Pentagon and another on the economy. You said on Fox News that the entire Pentagon is working against Secretary Hegseth, but the people who were fired were Hegseth's own guys. So how do you square that, and what do you say to concerns that that's bad management?
They were Pentagon employees who leaked against their boss to news agencies in this room. And it's been clear since day one from this administration that we are not going to tolerate individuals who leak to the mainstream media, particularly when it comes to sensitive information. And the Secretary of Defense is doing a tremendous job, and he is bringing monumental change to the Pentagon. And there's a lot of people in this city who reject monumental change. And I think, frankly, that's why we've seen a smear campaign against the Secretary of Defense since the moment that President Trump announced his nomination before the United States Senate. Let me reiterate, the president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth and the change that he is bringing to the Pentagon, and the results that he's achieved thus far speak for themselves.
Is there an FBI investigation into the leaks? The secretary said that these people would be prosecuted. So is the FBI investigating?
You'd have to ask the FBI. You have to ask the Department of Justice on what they plan to do. But certainly we take leaks with the utmost seriously across this administration. You've seen people fired from the Department of Homeland Security. The president has made it clear it's an unacceptable behavior.
And on the economy, Karoline, Peter Navarro said that it's perfectly possible to do 90 deals in 90 days. We haven't seen one just yet. How soon might we see a deal, and what evidence can you share that progress is being made in these trade negotiations?
Sure. Well, I spoke to our entire trade team this morning. There is a lot of progress being made. We now have 18 proposals on paper that have been brought to the trade team. Again, these are proposals on paper that countries have proposed to the Trump administration and to our government. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, NEC Director Hassett, and Peter Navarro, the entire trade team, meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We are moving at Trump speed to ensure these deals are made on behalf of the American worker and the American people. And just yesterday, it seemed to get a little bit lost in the news, and I think it's a disservice to the American public that it did. The vice president announced terms of reference for a trade deal with India. That is a big deal. We know when we look at the numbers, the monetary trade barriers and the non-monetary trade barriers from India, they have been ripping off the United States and American workers for a very long time. So the fact that the vice president with Prime Minister Modi on that trip in India announced these terms of reference, which is essentially a framework to move the ball forward to sign a good trade deal between our two nations, is great progress. And it speaks to the work ethic and the real labor that's being put into this effort by the president's trade team. Sure. Go ahead.
The proposals that you talk about, is that enough to extend the pauses on these reciprocal tariffs, or does the president need to see, these deals inked and signed to offer any sort of additional extension beyond the 90 days?
Well, look, ask me in July when the deadline hits. I know I'll be answering those questions from all of you in this room. There's a lot of time left, and the president's trade team is working again at Trump speed as quickly as they can to ensure that these deals can be made.
Are any of those conversations yet with China happening?
I actually do have something to share on that. I asked the president about this before coming out here, and he wanted me to share with all of you that we're doing very well in respect to a potential trade deal with China. As I mentioned, there have now been 18 proposals in more than 100 countries around the world who are wanting to make a deal with the United States of America. And the president and the administration are setting the stage for a deal with China. So we feel everyone involved wants to see a trade deal happen, and the ball is moving in the right direction. Sure.
Setting the stage for a deal with China, what does that mean? Has the president spoken directly with Xi yet?
I don't have anything to read out on a direct talk between the president and President Xi, but we will continue to keep you updated.
And Secretary Bessent reportedly today told investors that this trade standoff with China he expects will be de-escalating soon because, as he described it, reportedly the situation is unsustainable. Is the president considering taking steps to de-escalate the situation with China?
Again, I just read you words directly from the president of the United States. Those are moments ago. That's where his head is at right now. Sure.
Caroline, I have two questions, one on immigration and one on China. First on immigration. Roughly how many illegal immigrants and aliens do we have in our country, and how many does the administration plan on deporting?
Sure. Well, you'd have to ask the Department of Homeland Security for a specific number, but we suspect it's definitely in the millions, perhaps upwards of 20 million people that were allowed into the country illegally by the previous administration. And the president and his team are focused on deporting as many as we possibly can. And they are moving as quickly as possible. The president's team has made it clear we need more funding from Congress to do more. We need more ICE agents out on the ground doing this very important work. And we also need rogue district court judges to stop acting as judicial activists, trying to block the administration from deporting illegal criminals from our nation's interior. The American public elected the president to do this, and he's following through with that promise.
And we have over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country right now on student visas. Does the administration believe there's any national security concern when it comes to those over 250,000 Chinese nationals in our country?
Well, as you know, when it comes to foreign visas, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke visas of those who we feel are acting in a adversarial way to our foreign policy interests here in the United States. He has that authority according to the Immigration and Nationality Act. So I would defer you to the State Department for any individual case, but they are looking at individuals who are given the privilege of being on a visa in our country. And if they are acting, again, adversarial to our foreign policy interests, their visa can be revoked, and they should be aware of that. Sure. Go ahead. Yes. I'm calling on you.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome.
Within the last few weeks, several countries have warned their citizens about travel to the U.S. and the Department of Commerce's own stats show that from a lot of countries, the number of visitors is falling. Does the White House have any message for people that might be reconsidering business or tourism travel to the U.S.?
Where did you see that report?
With the statistics coming from the Department of Commerce.
Said what? It's hard to hear you. Sorry.
That visitors from a lot of countries have fallen in the last 3 months.
I'd have to look at that report to comment on the merits of it. I think most people around the world recognize the United States of America is a great place to do business. It's a beautiful place to visit, and they should certainly come here because it's a much safer country than it was 4 years ago under the previous president. Libby, good to see you.
A question about this upcoming announcement from HHS to ban food dyes. During the first week of the administration, the FDA announced that it's pulling its plan to ban menthol cigarettes. So two questions for you. How do you square a ban on menthol cigarettes being pulled and then announcing this ban on food dyes. And then how does the president feel about this upcoming ban that RFK is going to announce?
Sure. Well, look, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the president nominated him because he trusts him to make this country healthy again. It's not just a slogan. It really is a movement that has broken ground across the country. There's millions of people who believe in RFK Jr., Secretary Kennedy, and what he's doing. I don't want to get ahead of HHS with this historic announcement later and the details of it, but obviously the secretary feels that he has reason and evidence to announce the ban on artificial dyes later, and I'll let him speak to that this afternoon. Phil.
The president started the process of reclassifying more than 50,000 federal employees as Schedule F. We've already seen him march through a number of government agencies. I'm curious, should we expect mass firings, or is this a case-by-case approach, a scalpel or a sledgehammer?
Well, look, as you saw on Friday, the president put out a statement about it. The Office of Personnel Management reclassified workers. They're now called scheduled policy/career. And all the president is trying to do is ensure that federal workers are being held accountable for corrupt behavior. If they are engaging in corruption as a government worker, they should no longer have their job. I think that's pretty common sense. He also believes that bureaucrats should be acting in accordance to the will of the American public, who duly elected this president. Not just this president, but all future presidents. If you work for the government, you should be adhering to the will of the American public and advancing the administration's goals and interests. And if you are not doing that, then you should go find another job whose interests you align with. So as for specific firings, I would defer you to the specific agencies, but the president in this move and Office of Personnel Management, it will make it easier to get rid of rogue bureaucrats who are engaging in corruption.
And then another quick question about
Sure.
Google, real quick. A federal court ruled last Thursday that Google's dominance of online advertising and ad tech markets violated U.S. antitrust laws. I know the president has spoken to a number of folks in big tech, and Google CEO was even at his inauguration. I'm curious, what is the president's reaction to that court ruling?
I'll have to ask him, and I'll get back to you, Phil. Thank you, Caroline. You're welcome. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Some economic questions for you. Kevin Hassett has been a key economic advisor to the president in both of his terms. In 2022,
And he still is.
And he still is.
He was just in my office.
Absolutely. In 2022, he said that the independence of the Fed is super important. That's a direct quote. Is that something that the president subscribes to? Does he still believe in the independence of the Federal Reserve?
Well, look, I think the president has made his position on the Fed and on Powell quite clear. The president believes that they have been making moves and taking action in the name of politics rather in the name of what's right for the American economy. The president has the right to express his displeasure with the Fed, and he has the right to say he believes interest rates should be lower. He believes Americans should be able to borrow money cheaper than they currently are right now. And I also spoke to Kevin Hassett about the Fed as well, and he has called into question the Fed's independence and whether they are actually doing things, again, out of the best interest of the economy, or are they doing it for partisan reasons. The president wants to see interest rates lower. He has made that quite clear.
We've also seen, if I may, I'm
sorry,
one more, Caroline, just about, I said two economic questions. About the dollar, we've seen the dollar at multi-year lows versus the euro and other currencies around the world. Is it the administration's policy for a strong dollar? How does it view the dollar versus other currencies around the world?
The president wants to see the dollar remain as the world's reserve currency for our long-term fiscal stability and our economic growth. He's been quite clear about that. Sure.
2 questions.
And then to the woman behind you, who I haven't seen before, welcome. Go ahead, Mary.
Earth Day and then the Supreme Court, if that's okay.
That's right. It's Earth Day.
Yes.
Happy Earth Day, everyone.
I saw the president truthing about the garbage pileup from China in the Pacific, and then I believe Lee Zeldin is headed to San Diego to investigate the pile of sewage from Mexico. Can you speak to what the White House has planned for Earth Day and anything in that arena?
Sure. I do have points from the EPA. Administrator Zeldin is doing a fantastic job, and they are always sharing their accomplishments with the White House, which we very much appreciate. He will be traveling. I believe he's in California today for sewage situation. Here you go. Administrator Zeldin met with his Mexican counterpart to discuss steps Mexico needs to take to ensure the water entering the United States is clean and safe. And he's holding a press conference in San Diego today with elected officials and local stakeholders on the Tijuana River sewage crisis. I would also add from the president himself, he has always maintained he wants America to have the cleanest air and the cleanest water. And we want to do what's right for our environment and for our earth. And a lot of that is making sure that we have clean and sustainable energy. And we know that we produce natural gas cleaner and more efficiently than any country in this world. And the president wants to see that continue.
Thank you. And then on the Supreme Court, I know the court is hearing a case dealing with parents who don't want their kids having to read gender ideology books in schools. Can you comment on that case and what the Trump administration hopes to see come from that?
Sure. We hope the Supreme Court will do the right thing. And the president has been very clear. He stands on the side of parental rights, and he believes strongly that parents should have a greater say in their children's education and the content, if you will, that children are being exposed to in our public school system. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you.
Hi.
I'm Karoline Lumetta with World News Group. The administration ended some temporary protections for Afghans, including several hundred Christians who have been punished by the Taliban. Is the president considering any exceptions for Afghans who could face death or torture if they return to their home country?
So let's just be clear about one thing. We didn't end that proactively. It expired. And it's because the previous administration illegally paroled millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, into the country, and then gave them temporary protective status, which again is a temporary status. It's not a permanent status in this country. And if there are individuals here who came in through the Biden administration who want to claim asylum, there is a legal process to do that. And those cases will be adjudicated by a judge on a case-by-case basis. We have a legal immigration process in this country for a reason. And all this administration is trying to do is effectuate that. Reagan.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you
Sure.
on immigration. March deportation numbers were down slightly from the same time period last year. SCOTUS recently ordered a pause on deporting turned-day arrival members with the Alien Enemies Act. I'm curious what other tools the administration is looking at to boost those deportation numbers.
Sure. Well, we are obviously complying with the court's order. However, it was a temporary pause. The Supreme Court basically said, sit tight, and they will follow up with an order. And we're confident that the Supreme Court will rule on the side of law and recognize the president absolutely has the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our nation's interior under the Alien Enemies Act. We feel very strongly about that, and we're confident the courts will side with the president and his executive authority. As for deportations, we continue to deport illegal criminals under Title VIII, which is an immigration authority given to our Border Patrol agents and the Department of Homeland Security to deport illegal criminals from this country. And the administration continues to do that at record speed as quickly as they can with the resources that they have.
They recently dropped charges against the MS-13 leader caught in Woodbridge, Virginia, with the idea that this will expedite the deportation process. Does the administration plan to drop charges against other criminal illegals to speed along the deportation process?
You'd have to ask the Department of Justice. Obviously, that's within their purview, and I can't speak for them. However, it is our goal to deport as many illegal criminals and aliens from our country as we possibly can, as quickly as we can. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. We've heard so much about this Saudi trip planning, and the president's mentioned it himself before, but I don't think we've ever heard on the record what he hopes to achieve in Saudi Arabia and what the purpose of the trip is.
Sure. Well, the president looks forward to this. It was supposed to be his first foreign visit, but of course now he is going to Rome this weekend to honor the Pope and attend the funeral. The president looks to strengthen the ties between the United States and these countries in which he will be visiting. He'll be having many bilateral meetings and talks, and we look forward to the trip and hope to see many of you there.
And the meetings in London this week, do they have any nexus with the plans in Saudi Arabia?
I can't speak to that. However, I do have an update on meetings when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war. I was just in the Oval Office with the president, Steve Witkoff, and they wanted everybody to know that the negotiations continue. We feel, again, we're hopefully moving in the right direction. And the special envoy, Steve Witkoff, will be heading to Russia again later this week to continue talks with Vladimir Putin.
Is that why Rubio is not heading to London? Is he accompanying Witkoff to Moscow?
I can't speak for the Secretary of State's travel schedule. I'd defer you to the Department of State.
And more broadly, just about the peace agreement, the talks that are ongoing. Rubio had said, Secretary Rubio had said that if things don't go the right way, that the U.S. might need to take a step back. What does stepping back look like? Is that a step back from brokering peace, or would that imply a broader withdrawal from U.S. support for Ukraine and the war?
Look, I think it would be unwise for me to broadcast that from this podium. Ultimately, that's a decision for the president to make, but he's made it very clear he wants to see peace. He wants to see this war end, and he wants to stop the killing on both sides of this war. And he's been very clear about that for quite some time. And he has grown frustrated with both sides of this war, and he's made that very known.
Karoline,
Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Last week, the president talked about nonprofit groups, specifically taking on crew, and he hinted that there could be further actions taken against nonprofits. Does the White House have any plans for any sort of actions against NGOs, nonprofits, or other similar groups? Is any of that coming up? Is that being worked on at this time?
I'll have to check in with our policy team and get back to you. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. Travis Gilmore with the Epoch Times. Are some colleges using taxpayer funds to further political agendas? And what is the administration's response to Harvard's lawsuit?
Sure. Well, the president has made it quite clear that it's Harvard who has put themselves in the position to lose their own funding by not obeying federal law. And we expect all colleges and universities who are receiving taxpayer funds to abide by federal law. It's quite simple. And the president made it clear he's not going to tolerate violations of federal law. He's not going to tolerate illegal harassment and violence towards Jewish American students or students of any faith on our campuses across the country. And so we will be responding to the lawsuit in court. And again, it's quite simple. If you want federal dollars, obey federal law.
And just a quick follow up on
Sure.
China. Any response to reports that China is targeting U.S. trade allies with potential retaliatory measures for supporting U.S. agendas?
I think the numbers and the sheer number of countries that have reached out to the United States and reached out to this administration to cut good trade deals speak for themselves. The entire world knows that they need the United States of America and they want to do business here. And so we'll stay focused on cutting good trade deals on behalf of the American worker. Stephanie.
Thank you, Caroline. Can you give us any additional details from the president's call with Netanyahu today?
I did speak to the president about it. It was a good call. They spoke particularly about Iran and the negotiations that are underway with Iran and the United States. And the president has made it very clear repeatedly, but I'll reiterate, there is no daylight between the United States of America and the state of Israel. He stands strongly behind our ally. He's made it quite clear when it comes to Iran that we want to see a deal, and Iran has a choice to make. But the president has also made it very clear, and he reiterated that in his call with Prime Minister Netanyahu today about the need for Iran to never obtain a nuclear weapon. I do have one more bit of news that I would like to share with all of you. Just give me 1 second to find it. And it's in regards to the terrorist attack that took place in India earlier today. The president has been briefed by the National Security Advisor, and he's being kept up to speed as more facts are learned. What we know already is dozens were killed and even more were injured in a brutal terrorist attack in a popular tourist location in South Kashmir. President Trump will be speaking with Prime Minister Modi as soon as he possibly can to express his heartfelt condolences for those lost. And our prayers are with those injured and our nation's support for our ally, India. These types of horrific events by terrorists are why those of us who work for peace and stability in the world continue our mission. So we'll give you a readout of that call later this afternoon. There's a lot of work to be had. You may hear from the president later this afternoon as well, and we'll see you all later. Thank you.
Were any Americans among those dual American citizens?
Whoa. Okay, so somebody yelled a question there at the very end. I did not catch that. I was up in the chat with everybody. What up? Let's do some super chats. And that was an amazing press conference. Karoline Leavitt is sharp as a tack, man. Dude, how many IQ? Let me know in the comment section. How many IQ points do you think she's got on cringe Jean Pierre? I could barely even remember her name. Cringe Jean Pierre had such forgettable press conferences. How many? Yeah, give me some. I'm seeing Karoline Leavitt emojis pouring through the chat. We just debuted a Tom Homan emoji. We're going to be doing a lot more work with criminal alien immigration and deportation here on this program. Let's jump into the super chats today. Benny won't be reading the super chat today, so you're wrong. Boom, you're wrong. I will not. But I will be doing something today, which will be very, very special, which will be the coverage of RFK and his big announcement. Boy, they are a-rolling. What is going to happen this week? Klaus Schwab resigns in disgrace. The Pope is gone. And something else big is going to happen Is this it? Today, if you could share my screen, please, Klein. Today is a massive announcement happening at 4 o'clock. Don't set your watches by it. I don't think it'll be on time. But Karoline Leavitt just said Trump is going to be potentially making an appearance today. What's that about exactly? Could it be this? RFK is planning on banning artificial dyes in American food today. This is the big one. They poison you with artificial dyes. You got kids, man? Try giving them red dye 40. Don't, actually. It'll make your kids go nuts. Speaking of red dye 40, this is the guy who's replacing Klaus Schwab. Not sure what to really say about this other than you didn't think they could get more Bond villain than Klaus Schwab? Well, here you go. This dude was in charge of Nestle. What's his name? He was in charge of Nestle. This is the kind of company that does poison all of your children. He looks cartoonishly evil. That's exactly right. Peter Bravik Letmath? Introducing a Peter Bravik Letmath. He will be poisoning your children, and he has an eye for the future. Yeah, this is the new leader. Is this like central casting? Is this real? Are we living in a simulation here? Exactly. Why does he look exactly like the Bond villain from Casino Royale? You know, the guy with the eyedropper? It's in the simulation. It's predictive programming, isn't it? It's predictive programming. You know how Hollywood makes movies about the things that are going to happen in the real world 10 years earlier? They did this. I won't go on a tangent on this, but they literally did this with East Palestine. Okay? What am I saying? I'm saying that they planned East Palestine? Well, I don't know. Here's all I do know. I know that there was a Netflix show that was a train derailment that got exploded, chemicals everywhere. Everybody had to flee a small Ohio town. This was a real thing that was on Netflix. Adam Driver was in it, if I'm correct. Can't remember what the name of it was. But they released that Hollywood movie a year before East Palestine, which is the exact same thing that happened. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Freaking central casting here. I don't know. Casino Royale, which I really like as a James Bond movie. Just predictive programming. All right. Going off on a rant there, but what I'm trying to say here is that it's very good that RFK is going to be making this announcement today. This is all over my timeline. RFK plans to ban 8 food dyes linked to cancer from our food supply by the end of 2026. This could be Maha's boldest moment yet. The gloves are off now, and the food dyes include blue 1, blue 2, green 3, red 4, red 40. These are the big ones right here. Yellow 5 is really also awful. Coal tar is what yellow 5 is. Freaking coal tar. Blast coal. Yellow 6. There they are. Good. You can regularly find my kids eating little gummies. What are those gummies? They're very colorful. What are the gummies? They're colored with beetroot and colors that come from vegetables that are extracted from things that grow in the ground. And they're all natural. And the kids love them. And I think that's the point of the food dyes in the first place. And so why do you have to, if you can do it naturally, and they're not expensive. They're like gummy bears that are the same, it's like 50 cents a pack. If you can do it naturally without killing the children and giving them cancer and obesity and morbid diseases, then why not do that other than you just want to be a Bond villain and have one eye? Okay. It's freaking awesome. Okay, there we go. Kennedy plans to phase out 8 commonly used food dyes. The petroleum-based dyes, oh good, we're shoving gasoline in our children. The petroleum-based dyes, it's a fossil fuel, okay? So you're feeding your children fossil fuels. Put gasoline on the Cheerios. Are used in hundreds of thousands of items, including cereals and sports drinks. The health secretary is expected to release more details on Tuesday, so we'll see. Our team is still toying with potentially going live for this. We're not exactly sure. This is a big one. If you care about these kind of things, this is like a Mount Rushmore moment for RFK. It's a Mount Rushmore moment. I saw somebody in the chat, big time hater. We're going to go right back to Super Chats. Saw somebody in the chat. First off, Fargonaut, you're wrong. And then there was a chat that said that I'm late because I'm doing my Gumby hair. And you were right. You got me. How'd you know? A little did I know that it was actually Klein that did that chat secretly in his Anon account. Klein's sock account was posting that. How did he know? Here's a matter of fact. I don't do my hair. I don't put anything in my hair. I am against the chemicals and stuff. I make it makes you go bald, right? So I get out of the shower and I walk out into the Florida humidity, and this is just what happens. Okay, so that is very low maintenance in that regard. Okay, all right. Okay, let's go through. We've got a couple of new members. Thank you all becoming new members. Jason's Hub and Teresa Wilson and Carol. Thank you, Carol. Your green heart emoji. Okay, so here we go. Teresa Wilson says that she has joined the Penny Brigade, but she wants the emojis for the perks. The emojis come from a specific YouTube option that they give us to open up memberships on YouTube. It's not one-to-one, but Teresa, Teresa, I will be happy to gift you. I will be happy to gift you. I know we can do this. Gift you a membership on YouTube. Okay. So Teresa Wilson, reach out to executive producer ALX, and we will make it happen. Poor ALX. R.I.P. ALX's email. ALX@BennyJohnson.com. ALX did show me. Woke up from my nap, snoring that loud. Thank you, Fargonaut. No, I'm not. Oh, you're the coolest political commentator I know. Thank you for being in the chat, Benny. Look, Fargonaut, we changed hearts and minds with Fargonaut, okay? Fargonaut was up here. He was trolling me. And now he's down here saying, hey, it's nice to see you in the chat. We're just commenting in the chat. If I got nothing else to do, then I'll jump in the chat, okay? RFK, banning food dyes. Who's ready for that? I'm very excited about it. And if Carney wins, and then you can do everything you can to make sure Trump crushes him like a tin can. Yeah. You know, they pulled a Joe Biden here, right? So they just swapped out the extremely unpopular person and put in like the beta version, the DEI version. Yeah, so they got rid of Biden, they got rid of Trudeau, and then they at the last minute they did a swap, right? Here's the guy named Carney. And now his campaign is pulling ahead. It's the same thing with Kamala. Hopefully the polls are fake, just like they were here. Carney head in polls as Canada enters last week of election campaign. Look at okay. What is with liberal men in their hands? I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do that with my hand if you paid me because I have bones in my wrist. What is it with these guys and these little gelatin hands, these little skinny little noodle arms, right? Potbelly noodle arm guys. This is like the physiognomy of the lib, the potbelly noodle arm. Look at the dude. Look at the dude's hand. Look at the limpness in the wrist. It's always a tell. These guys he's a weak globalist. He's World Economic Forum trained globalist. Yeah, that's exactly right, Killer Klein. It's the exact same physiognomy. What is it with these libs? Like these libs, they have a look. There, that's the look. They have a look. Killer Klein does jujitsu. You can find Killer Klein doing all sorts of moves on the mat, okay? All over the place. We were at UFC the other night. There are plenty of snapshots you could take. You will never find any you will never find a photo of an actual man doing this. Like prancing about. I don't get the prancing. Okay? Take a lot of snaps. You'll never find like this. I don't understand what it is. Anyway, the point is to IFO connoisseur here, is that yes, we'll do everything. I like Pierre Poilievre. He's this dude who I think is cool. And I've seen some good clips. I don't pretend to know him or he hasn't been on the show. But he's a conservative who's running. And he was supposed to win in a landslide against Trudeau. We'll see if Canada is dumb enough to go for this bait and switch. America wasn't. America obviously rejected Kamala decisively so. Here's a question that I have for you in the chat. Just real fast. Do you think that Joe Biden would have done better than Kamala or worse than Kamala in the election in 2024? That's something that I don't know, man. I can actually see both sides of it. I can actually see Joe Biden doing better than Kamala Harris. I can see it. What do you think? So what I'm saying is that their meddling backfired. And I hope it happens in Canada. Their meddling backfired. All right. There we go. Thank you, IFO connoisseur. Eat more bacon from MAGA since 1492. I couldn't agree more. And you know who also agrees with you? There you go. Look at that. He also agrees with you. Come on, baby. All right. Let's go. Benny, please ask Noam for a hotline so we can call Tom Homan. Uncle Tom Homan. Sanctuary, San Diego, and Cali are bad. News come. You sign a new order to put gas over $7. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. RFK is a hero. The box mandates were the most criminal act in the last 100 years. Oh, okay. You're talking about the untested experimental therapeutics that were put into everyone. Yeah. Yes. And I think we've horribly IFO connoisseur. If you were reading some of the new studies about all this, if you're reading all the new studies about this, man, it is dark what they actually did to people. We'll hope that these studies don't actually play out, but man, this is it'll go down as the most criminal act in all history if it does. Love that, Karoline, and of course, Benny. Karoline was on fire today, and we're excited for RFK to be on fire today as well. And we just want to thank Magno News for the 10 memberships. Thank you very much, Magno News. And also the gifting of Valito. Are you an announcer for Spanish soccer? That's what it sounds like. Thank you for the gifts. Here we go. Thank you, Benny and crew. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Carol, and your green heart. Thank you for covering what the mainstream media won't. We were beating. Tim Pool was in the chair today, and I think that's awesome. I want to see more. I want to see more like streamers in the chair. So people have like big followings. Everyone's screaming, "Why aren't you in the chair? Why aren't you in the chair?" Here's been the problem. We've been communicating with the White House. And the reality is we will be in the chair. Okay? Can we get up a photo of Tim Pool? I know we sent a bunch of them in. I'm proud of Tim. Good for him. The problem for us has been a matter of distance. It'll come as no shock to you that sometimes they make these decisions quite hastily and use local reporters. What you've seen is a very tight... No, Tim in the briefing room, guys. It's in the chat. Okay, there's photos of Tim in the briefing room in the chat. We sent him in. It'll come as a shock. It'll come as a shock to you that will come as no shock to you. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a second. That when sometimes these press conferences are done like they don't know even that morning that they're going to do a press conference. Sometimes they spring it on us, and a lot of these press conferences that are done quite quickly and announced, in a hasty manner, they need to use a local reporter to do that. So you have like less than sometimes a few hours, sometimes a day, and the problem is I'm 1,000 miles away. So we're working on it, and we can't wait to be up there in the press chair. What will you ask? I'll tell you what I'm going to ask. I'll tell you what I'm going to ask, and let me know what you think. I would ask about the Trump assassinations. I know, you're going to be like, well, what do you expect to get? I expect to get a news cycle, actually, because people really care about this kind of stuff. Like, this guy started the point was to start a civil war and to destroy America forever. That was the point of trying to kill Trump. And we know nothing about this guy. We know so much more about, random people who dox on the internet, who get on the wrong side of the news cycle. We know so much more about Pete Hegseth's signal chats than we know about the guy who tried to end Western civilization as we know it. So that's what I would ask. Here's Tim in the chair. You can see here, Sunday, I'll be there, and I'll get that's Peter Alexander from NBC News, and he'll be glaring at me. He'll be glaring and hissing and seething, and I'll be there, and I'll be like, hey, Matthew Thomas Crooks, so tried to end Western civilization as we know it, start a civil war that would have killed us all. We know nothing about him. We know more about, Shannon Sharp's sexcapades than we do about the guy who nearly ended Western civilization. So maybe could we get some disclosures on that? Maybe. Don't get angry at me, but I actually think that's more valuable than Epstein. The reason why is that clearly Matthew Thomas Crooks had a handler. Clearly he wasn't acting alone. And that, I think, has like the potential to unpack that is more important, perhaps, to like the entire, like to the point of what's going on in our country today, right? I want to get to the bottom of the Epstein stuff. Nobody's fought harder than me. If someone were to give me a choice, I would say, give me everything you have on Matthew Thomas Crooks, to be honest with you. I think. Give me all of his messages. What nation states was he communicating with? What feds were he communicating with? What agencies inside of the federal government were working with Matthew Thomas Crooks? I think that actually has more. I think that could do more good for us to find that out. I also want Epstein would be the next in line. You know, I'd have to think about it. But that's what I think off the top of my head. All right. Here we go. So Fargonaut here saying, I asked about your snoring a while back. I see that you're working out, and that's cool. Working out makes you snore louder. Please snore loud. It's got to be Jerry. It's got to be Jerry. This has got to be Jerry's burner sock account. It's got to be Jerry. I don't know. It's got to be Jerry. Okay. All the devils in the eyes. I don't think I snore. I'm not like the guy who wears the tape on his mouth. Okay. I'm not sure about. I have not done that, but I don't think I snore. I don't know. You guys can follow Nurse Kate on Instagram. You can go DM her and ask. Feel free. She would know. All the evil is in the eyes. All the evil is in the eyes. Oh, yeah. About the World Economic Forum guy? With the bloody eye? Yep. Yucca. Food and cosmetics ingredients scanner. Thank you, Michael Russell. I guess we'll look that up. Thank you, Benny and crew. Love Benny in the chat, reading the super chats. Salt that lid. Update. Tesla. Drawing. Keep seeing people ask. Yes, thank you, Chrissy. So here's our deal. Here's our deal with the Tesla. The Tesla drawing is something that we are. So we're going to be doing an announcement next month. It's the end of the month. Made it for tax day. We're doing an announcement next month, and then we're doing a personal delivery. We're going to film the personal delivery, as long as the person is okay with, as long as the winner is okay with that, and then we're gonna do a whole production. So you just got to give us a second. We're going to get the car. Tesla does this really cool thing. We're already working on it. This really cool thing where they deliver the car. They deliver the car to you. They deliver the Tesla to your house. And so that's what we're going to do. Somebody's getting a custom Cybertruck. We did drive around a custom Cybertruck this past weekend. It was freaking awesome. Okay. YMCA being Trump's entrance song. Sweet Caroline should be Caroline's entrance song. Can you see them blaring Sweet Caroline, just banging out Sweet Caroline, oh oh oh, and she comes out, right? All the lights go dark in the press briefing room. Everybody's screaming, everyone's cheering. Tim Pool takes off his beanie, right, for the first time ever. Tim Pool takes off his beanie. He's screaming, right? Tim Pool takes off his beanie and his hoodie and he throws it at Karoline Leavitt. Confetti guns. Flames. Karoline comes out, right? She's wearing the armor that we made for her in AI. And she's wearing the give me the Karoline Leavitt in the when she's shooting people up. Yeah, or the armor, either one. You know, she's wearing the armor. And just Sweet Caroline just cranking. Okay? It'd be so awesome. Tom Homan's the DJ. Tom Homan's in there. Spinning. I'd be down with it. I'm totally down. And then, and then they have an ejector seat. An ejector seat. She punches a button and it ejects the CNN reporter out. A giant spring. Boing. Yeah, Caroline comes out in this. Sweet Caroline. I could totally see it. Why not? You're exactly right, Wojo. You brought up a great point. Okay. I trust you because you hang out with geeks and gamers. Well, not enough. Wash Snow Ghost. I want to hang out with those guys more. Jeremy is from Florida. So is Ryan. I'm very sad that Gary, Nerdrotics, he's in Texas. Otherwise, we'd hang out a lot more. They're from different parts of Florida than Tampa. But I'm going up to the Panhandle, and I want to roll with those boys. Freaking cool. Love them all. And Critical Drinker. Here we go. Benny, thank you for the free membership. I'm already a member. I could not figure out how the emojis. Please pray for my brain. I'm 58. But my brain is 85. All right. Well, you know what? We've all been there, Teresa. We've all been there. That's right. We've all been there. I feel like that every single morning. And then I just take a deep breath, okay? And I think about Joe Biden's presidency, and I say, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that. We're going to lock it in. All right. And then finally, let's go last two here. Stop the chemtrail fake fog that is spreading viruses everywhere. Absolutely. Like, it's amazing. They screamed about Alex Jones. They made fun of Alex Jones for talking about chemtrails. And then Florida goes and bans chemtrails, like a decade later. So who was right and who was wrong? Well, the person who was right was the person who was talking about the thing that's now banned in the state of Florida. New legislature there. Last one here. Who is the one who is replacing Klaus Schwab? Well, we just put his image up. We'll put it up again. Here you go. Holy moly. Yeah, this is him saying water is not a human right. Clean water is not a human right. All right. Let's call it Central Casting. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say thank you. We love the chat, and we love you, and we try and do super chats as much as we can. We even have a whole stinger. We should have played the stinger, but we'll play it on the way out, okay? We'll play it on the way out. We have something else very special for you. The single most important thing that I think RFK has ever done. RFK explaining why he is banning food dyes. And this is ALX, the video. I'm sure we have it loaded. I saw it in the chat. This is the video of RFK doing the explanation of food dyes, the banning of food dyes. I'm not sure if we'll be live for this because I'm not sure if it's going to be a conducive event for being live, but we're considering it. We'll see. It'll be 3 lives today, but whatever. We freaking love all of you. And we love hanging out with you. So here we go. Here's the first off the stinger. No, we're closing with this. It's a long video, so we're just gonna close with it. Here's the this has been Benny in the chat. Let's go. We have such cool designers here. Why don't we play more of these? Klein, we need more stingers. We want more stingers. Thank you all for joining us. Lots of good things happening. Lots of good energy. This is how you lock in and win. God bless all of you. Here's an explanation from RFK as to what he's about to do in just a few hours to make America better, healthier, safer. See ya.
This is what most Americans innocently put into their bodies these days, and most alarmingly, into the bodies of their children. And it's no coincidence that Americans die earlier than Canadians or Germans or Italians or Japanese or Koreans or Australians or most any other comparable country. And it wasn't always that way. Until the early 1990s, our life expectancy was the same or better than other developed countries. Then suddenly, more and more Americans began suffering from chronic diseases, from obesity, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune diseases. Our maternal mortality rate soared to the highest of any developed country on earth. Same with infant mortality. Like the frog in the slowly boiling water, we didn't really notice as we got sicker and sicker. We've grown now to accept chronic disease conditions as normal. But now, in 2024, we're finally waking up to this cataclysm, and we're asking ourselves, how in the world did this happen? Well, a big part of it is our diet. Restaurants that serve contaminated food are fined or shut down. But when it's the government that approves the poisons in our food, a few people get very, very rich, and the toxins end up in every supermarket aisle. Let me show you what I mean. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, gummy bears, Everyone knows that these are junk foods, so maybe you wouldn't be too surprised to see that the ingredients include a lot of poisons, including a harmful yellow dye called tartrazine, or yellow dye number 5. What you may not know is that this dye was originally made out of the sludge that's left over when you turn coal into coke for blast furnaces. It's called coal tar, and I've actually sued many big industries for legacy contamination of coal tar all around the country because it's so toxic and it's so harmful to the environment and human beings. A century ago, it was just an obnoxious industrial byproduct that everybody was trying to figure out ways to get rid of. One of the ways that they did that was by paving roads. But then a British chemist figured out that the coal tar could be used to derive fabric dye. And if fabric dye, why not food? Food manufacturers began using it to cover up the discoloration of low-quality foods that they wanted to pass off on unsuspecting customers. They didn't know back then that this yellow dye, tartrazine, causes tumors, asthma, developmental delays, neurological damage, ADD, ADHD, hormone disruption, gene damage, anxiety, depression, intestinal injuries. Well, we know it now. We've known this for decades. That's why tartrazine is heavily restricted in other countries. In some countries, foods with tartrazine have a warning label that it may cause ADHD in children. Today, it's made from petroleum, not coal tar. Either way, it's crazy to add this to your kids' favorite foods. It doesn't even change the flavor. This yellow dye isn't just in junk food. It's in the foods that we consider healthy. It's in everyday kids' snacks like popcorn, mac and cheese, fruit snacks. It's in sports drinks like Gatorade and so-called vitamin water. It's even added to chicken broth, to corn, to pickles, to mustard, and to yogurt. And so, of course, our kids get sick. And we lovingly feed them chewable vitamins which have, surprise, tartrazine. And so the cycle continues until the coughs and asthma kick in, at which point you go to pick up some cough syrup. And yeah, you guessed it, tartrazine. I've been picking on tartrazine today, but that's just one of at least 100 chemical poisons that our health agencies allow into our children's food. I can make a video just like this to talk about Red 40, BHA, BHD, potassium bromate, chemical after chemical, and on and on and on. If just one of them can cause all of these problems, imagine what they're doing in combination. That has never been studied. If we took all of these chemicals out, our nation would get healthier immediately. We'd have fewer sick days. We'd have better focus. We'd have less anxiety. Our kids would learn more easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other health conditions, as tartrazine does. And you know what's interesting? All 8 of those crucial steps forward in our kids' health were taken under President Trump. But the Democrats, who claim to be all about health care, have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children. Together, we're going to make America healthy again.
Not a yes, sir, not a follower. Fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat for you. Take a number. I was lightning before the thunder. Thunder, thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Who do you think you are? Dreaming about being a big star. This is the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom. on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.